young people are not going out to vote.
That's a very dangerous thing.
With politics, it's like they would come out and they would say, oh, blah, 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 blah. And they don't do that blah, 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 blah.
Politics has failed. On their own, no government has tried to change the system. You don't empower people by educating them, you empower them by telling them that your education is going to give you rewards. Then Congress, do you think Congress is free of caste and religion? No, they are fighting the entire election in 2024 based on caste. The question is the road in front of your house become better? That is the litmus test. First, in India, nobody knows what is right and left. They just use terms without knowing it.
Yeah, that they don't even know what they stand for.
So the center is it's like a tennis match. They are just seeing left, right, left, right.
Modi is gone. Now we have Rahul Gandhi. I want to see how people react.
Can't say anything.
So, welcome, sir. I guess we're about to start a new podcast, and as you guys can see, it's called Brutally Honest Podcast because I feel like it encapsulates everything we are and what we are trying to do with this podcast. It is that we will be discussing everything and anything, so diversity is there, and but with our own intellectual capacities. So we'll be synthesizing information in this podcast, but in a fun way. So, sir, you can introduce yourself. I am Sanjana.
So you're saying in the flow,
Yeah.
just flowing,
Just
aloud.
just thinking aloud, just talking.
Yeah.
So at first we talk, and then at some point it will start to flow.
Yeah. So for people who don't know you, this is Sanjana Singh,
Yeah.
and she's a very bright student. She's pursuing her degree in masters.
No,
Or
I'll
you
be
will,
doing. Yeah,
will
I
be
will.
going for
Yeah.
masters, and she's studying psychology, and she studied where did you study?
Tel Aviv University.
Oh, Tel Aviv. Okay. And so she has great psychological understanding. And so we thought when she told me that let's do a podcast on a regular basis. So I said, मैं क्या है बच्ची है इससे क्या बात करूँगा? But then we explored, and the idea is that there are lots of correct me if I'm wrong. So there are lots of issues. I mean, right from politics to religion to life to sociology to media. I mean, just name it. There are so many things, and people don't realize that everything has a psychological and philosophical aspect.
Yes.
Okay, and everything is not a debate. Often you have to explore yourself. So the idea was this podcast will be like that we'll just think aloud and discover things, but good mix of intellectual or scholarship and at the same time making it simple for the idiots.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you have so we are parts and we make a whole, right? As humans, and everything is like that. Everything is in degrees, in certain percentages, right? 2% this, 73% that, 23. There's degrees to things, and that's how we understand what life is and what we are at a human, but also an objective level, right? So just like that, this podcast will be discussing anything and everything because this is what we do as humans. We
So
think.
what do you want to discuss today?
So elections because politics is something which is widely discussed today by the youth, by every generation. I mean, it's a quasi fundamental aspect of life, that political sphere, economic sphere, your personal life, your cultural life, your social life. There's different aspects to it, and politics stands out because it is like a governing body, right, at a ethics level that we see. And so I feel like maybe we should start by discussing, what is like let's psychoanalyze this aspect
Okay.
of politics. What makes a person politically inclined towards a party, etc., etc.
So, okay, let's just begin. We'll come to elections in India specifically. I think that is what is,
Yeah.
is one of the most complex yet one of the most interesting, fascinating elections. Sometimes I wonder how they make it possible. It's like a miracle doing elections in India for us to survive, such a complex thing. But politics, let's talk about politics, okay? So um, is politics, let's try to understand, is politics part of human nature? Is it a curse of being of a social being, because the moment you put more than two people, okay, the politics begins. Even when you, as a child, when you're born, and somebody will say, who do you love more, your mother or your father, dad or mom? And this little child doesn't care. I mean, he loves perhaps everybody equally. He needs the mother more for nutrition, for food, but otherwise he loves everybody. He's playful with everybody, and suddenly you put that choice in front of a person, and then he has to choose. And from there, I think your mind gets trained to make these kind of stupid choices, and so I think, is politics the game of choice, that you put people, um, make them choose? Because I want to understand from you from psychological point of view, because if you look at countries like Russia, okay, and there is no political choice, and therefore you'll find that very few people discuss politics over there. In fact, the world discusses more politics of Russia more than Russians themselves. Even
Yeah,
in
yeah,
China, you'll go, very rarely you'll find people
yeah, yeah,
discussing
yeah, yeah.
this thing. Or you go to any dictatorship, yes, in dictatorship people talk politics, but behind the doors, never out in open. Okay, so is it when you put a choice in front of people, what we call democracy, choose one? Okay, choose one. And is that when politics begins between friends in offices and in parks? And I've seen politics in uh, parks where I go for walk in the morning. So, and so housing societies, and even in a train, if you travel for a long time, if you are taking a 10 to 12-hour journey, and slowly you will, and so everybody gets to know each other, and after some time you'll find that people start making two groups, one which agrees with a certain thing, one doesn't agree with the another thing. And these days, specifically, if you are traveling even for more than few hours together, then the immediate choice is, in Indian case, it is Modi versus everybody else. So you choose. I mean, either you are this side or that side, and so this is what I think is. So let's understand: is politics a human nature, or it is the fault line of a society? That we tend to make two groups everywhere. What do you think?
I think so. Politics has a very fundamental concept. It has to be central to what we are as humans. So there's a need, there's a necessity for conduct, right? We need to address our behavior. We need to operate within certain ethics, right? So that we can live in harmony, right? So it's a necessity. When you have a larger population, you need order in that chaos, right? And so politics simply then becomes a necessity. That's like a, how there's a difference between morality and ethics. So morality is anything which is subjective. What is my moral idea of the world? How do I look at good and bad from my own personal experience? And then ethics is more society based, social culture, all society, it's more communal, it's more community based, right? So it operates within that social conduct dynamic. And so then, yeah, it politics becomes a ethical concept which will then become central to us because of this necessity for order. And so yes, I feel it is a fundamental trait within human nature in general. And the interesting aspect though is that the Carl Jung, right, the
Yeah.
psychoanalyst, he talked about this concept called anima versus animus. So every human being, masculine or feminine, has another within them. So if I'm feminine, I have a masculine within me, and if anyone is masculine, they have a
What they call yin and yang,
yeah, anima and the animus
and
concept.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
exactly.
in
So
India they call it ardhnarishwa, means
yeah,
you have both.
exactly. You're very right. Yeah. So it's that concept, right? So there's so many variations to human behavior that we need a conduct necessity, and that is politics. That is a governing body. So it could be democracy, it could be socialist communism, it could be communism, it could be, like it has degrees and variations. So I feel like that necessity itself is why we are, cursed, as you were saying before, we are cursed with politics. It's like a burden almost, right? Like right now
Yeah,
with,
but I think the politics, the necessity of politics is because what politics does is, see, politics. I don't think in today's time politics has any answers. Politics has failed. Okay, so in last 100 years, if you see, all politics has done is it's minimize risks. If suppose the if the idea of politics is to absolutely avoid conflict, chaos, war, that should be the idea. What is politics? Otherwise, two people will go and kill each other,
yeah,
right? That you bring in politics,
yeah, yeah,
and the finer aspect is diplomacy, but basically politics is there to manage two different groups.
exactly,
Like
yes.
parents also play a lot of politics between kids, and then between spouses. There's a lot of politics goes on all the times, and the politics is basically power game. Who is in a leading position, and that's why the whole contest is about leadership. People are trying who's going to be the leader. The whole fight is about that.
Yeah.
Who's the supreme leader, the command. If politics was so effective, there would have been no world war. We are political by nature, and political means that we uh, divide ourselves into two groups. So we are divisive by nature, and I think it's coming from tribal consciousness. Tribal
Yeah, yeah,
consciousness,
we've
that
discussed that
that
before as
I,
well.
I have my own tribe, and the other tribe is evil, and they are like, we have to kill them, and then and to safeguard yourself from the other tribe, you start believing in superstitions and all these kind of, I won't say idiotic, stupid, I mean irrational things. So in tribe, when it comes to the entire tribe, then there is no rationality, absolutely no rationality, and it's purely on the instinct of fear. Okay, people fear something, and that's why you see every politician tries to create some fear in people's minds. So there's no objectivity, no rationality, no critical thinking, no factuality. Even if you show them the facts or show them the rationale, they will agree with that, but they will still say no, the other tribe is bad. They won't accept the other tribe.
So, no, you're correct, what you were saying before, because what I feel like with this whole misinformation, disinformation, agenda setting thing that happens with politics and what politicians do to gain voters and, eventually leadership, the path towards leadership for these politicians, it could be understood by dissecting their behavior, right? So one of the main things that these politicians do is use affective metaphors, right? Affective metaphors in the sense they would personalize their slogans. So, BJP, how Modi says bhai bhano, like there are certain things, there are certain slogans, sayings that seem to be very personalized but very loaded with, like intent, like intent to persuade, intent to make people think about something. So this is what people call agenda setting theory. You give them the topics, you don't make them think, they're free to think whatever, but you control them by giving them the topics to think about. So it's like a quasi freedom that you have, right?
Yeah,
Like,
like
yeah,
Trump says, let's make America great again. Now,
exactly.
how can you not participate in that agenda? How
Exactly.
can you say, no,
Yeah.
let's not make it great again?
Yeah.
The best logic you have to say is, yes, but America is already great. Why make it great again? Then somebody will say, are you sure it's really great? Look around you. Don't you see homeless people?
Yeah.
Don't you see pollution? Don't you see this? Is it really great? And then you'll say, yeah, maybe we are not great. Maybe he's right. And that's how you start setting an agenda,
Yeah.
and people start following that.
Like very
What is the
small.
agenda in India? The main story, agenda story right now.
So we have a multi-party system, but we do see a sort of monopoly happening between the Democratic Alliance versus the opposition bloc, right? So which is BJP centered, Hinduistic, nationalist, all those keywords that you see in news articles, attached to the right wing. Okay, so all that here. And then you have INC, National Congress, with Rahul Gandhi as
Now
maybe
India
the,
Alliance.
yeah. It's
But basically, because BJP keeps talking about Congress, therefore Congress
yeah.
seems to be the largest party, which it is, I think.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, right? Even though we have a multi-party system, we have a two-party major monopoly, right? So BJP bloc and then the INC bloc. And what I see in terms of them using like this affective metaphor thing is that look at their branding, right? The whole branding is centered around one theme. That one theme is put there to invoke feelings, emotions, national, of any sort of affiliation, and that's how their game works. So that's how you can dissect it like that, right? So BJP would be, for example, they would have RSS associations, loosely either confirmed, not confirmed, but people know that, it's a nationalistic party. It's, more towards conservative right wing values, very much centered around it. So that's that perspective. What do they use? They would look at their logo, right? orange orange color, Hinduism,
Saffron color,
yeah. So
yeah.
it's like there are certain unconscious subliminal, metaphors that they put in.
Mnemonics.
And exactly, and so that all together just joins in and it invokes, okay, this is what this is. So you get that an affective metaphor understanding. So you understand, okay, and that's how they manipulate people into believing whatever their agenda is. So you're giving them things to think about, not
Every
what to
political
think.
party, yeah.
Exactly, everyone, even businesses, even major industrial corporations, they work like
All
that.
the brands are
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, you put those subtle, nuanced mnemonics, and then people start believing that you represent that. You get associated with certain kind of things. And like some cars, you'll always associate them with great engineering. And some with a lot of speed. So cheetah, they will put it very beautifully, or a jaguar, and with like muscular, taking a leap, and you believe that, oh yeah, it's really a fast car.
Yeah.
Okay, and so yeah, so in same, you're right, but here the difference is that a brand does not control your ideology. It fits into your ideology. See, brand doesn't change your ideology. Okay, now say if we have moved in last decade or so from mechanical cars to electric cars, right? Yes, habits have changed, lifestyle has changed, your way of thinking about travel has changed, but it hasn't changed your ideology. If you were, say, a conservative person before that car came, electric car, you still are conservative. It's not that you started driving that. So products and brands change your lifestyle, but not your ideology. But the problem with politics is that it changes your ideology. You won't even realize when it can make you, suppose you are at the center, you won't realize when you move to left or right. And before you say Jack Robinson, you are like at the extreme of that left or right. It's like a pendulum. Okay, pendulum is like this. Pendulum never realized that started now slowly shaking with the air or something, and then you keep hitting it, keeps moving, and slowly it goes to the extreme. Okay, and then it hits the other extreme. So in politics, you are always moving from extremes of left and right, and then today's extremists are tomorrow's moderators, because somebody has gone more extreme than them, and then they look moderate people. So yeah. So what are your thoughts about these elections, 2024 elections in India? What is happening?
So I guess we have 1.4 billion people in this country. And I guess if I'm correct, 960 million people are registered voters for this year's general cycle of elections. And just because numbers, it change your perspective about how grand yet how influential these things could be. So like when you look at what's happening right now, the fourth phase of elections is going on. And I guess June 4th is when the result is out. So we don't have much time actually, like 20 days maybe, something like that. But what's right now seems to be the case in media. Now we have to understand that reality and media are two different things. Whatever, even direct news that gets reported gets highly misconstrued on social media, point that you were earlier talking about. And so you need to keep in mind that whatever data you're looking at, still be skeptical, always have an open mind. And so with that given, what I've seen and which seems to be the media perspective, is that BJP is leading, they could win. There was 0 to 35% voter turnout rates throughout the country. So zero being one of 3, 4, 5% being maybe 20 lakh people, something like that.
No,
34
not
being
35, up to 60%,
yeah.
65%.
In some states I've noticed.
In
Yeah,
some places
yeah,
it's low,
yeah,
but
very
general
low.
average is around 60%, 55 to
Yeah, when it
60%.
all comes together,
Yeah,
exactly true.
yeah. But in
But
some places it's been
yeah,
very low.
very
Yeah.
low, and like 19%, 35, 30.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad. It's this time it was bad. Like you can see
Why? Is it because people are losing faith in hope in democracy?
that, and also there's no excitement in
Why?
politics
Why there's no
anymore.
excitement in politics or in
In
democracy?
Indian politics, the way it's going.
But everybody is discussing politics all the times in this
They
country.
do, but is it out of pure necessity, or is it out of something of intellectual curiosity that you genuinely, want to like talk about a political thing? Or is it you feel like, okay, I have to go, like, it's a necessity. So that's a big thing, because what I notice with the youth, right, is that young people are not going out to vote. Firstly, because we're lazy. Now, how do you remove that laziness problem? By making politics exciting, by genuinely doing things. Because what's been happening is these people come into power, they guarantee things, they promise things, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, and it's just a mad cycle of just that continuously. And at some point, people are not stupid enough to not see that it's the same thing going, and so you lose interest. And once you lose it, it doesn't matter. And when it doesn't matter, it's on a larger scale, it's bad for the whole society and you. But you just don't care, and so you don't go to vote. And so that's what's happening with the youth. They don't, because first of all, I'm not going to go out at 2 p.m. with this 40-degree Celsius heat, right? And stand in a line and vote unless and until I feel so. And to be able to evoke that feel so, they have to make politics exciting. Like,
Yeah.
Trump versus Biden, like, is the best thing ever. Right? Like, you get to see three different debates, you get to see two polarizing figures just stand up and debate each other. Right? Even though two-party system is maybe not the best for democracy, but that model works well for them. So every 4 years in the US, people are genuinely excited to go and vote and like discuss it. It's like a genuine thing, and so that's why it's like a big thing within the Republican Conservative Party as well. This pride, nationalism, and it feels genuine also.
No, I think one of the reasons is because in India we have elections round the year. Round the year. I mean, there is no 6 months when there is no election is going on. As soon as these national elections get over, then you'll have Delhi elections in January, February. Okay, and as soon as they get over, then you will have I'm not sure which election, but then you have Bihar, Bengal, and you have Maharashtra. I think in December this year, or yeah, Maharashtra I think is this year or maybe early next year. But I mean, in next 1.5 years, you are going to have Bengal, Bihar, and Maharashtra, and Delhi, and maybe one or two more. So, and then as soon as they are over, then the new elections will happen. Then you have BMC elections. The BMC means municipality elections. Then you have panchayat elections. You have so many elections all the times. And now what has happened is earlier nobody would know कब कौन सा state का election हो गया. People didn't even bother. And national election was there, but it was only for 2 months. People were talking about it, but they were not killing each other. It wasn't like it was a national sport or it's a matter of life and death. But now, because of social media and TV, and the political parties and politicians have also become very clever, and they are pumping in all their money into what I call talking mediums. There are some silent medium, there are some talking mediums. So social media is a talking medium. So you talk, create a lot of noise and sound. So so everybody feels that it's very important to be part of politics. But I have a feeling people are slowly losing hope and faith in democracy. Okay, because democracy has also taken a circle. And Socrates' story about democracy. I don't
Yeah,
know. So
yeah.
in Greece, when they started democracy, so Socrates said that this is not a good model We should have aristocratic democracy, which means the elite, intellectual people, educated people should decide, should only vote. So he said, if you give voting right to everybody, then the maximum number of people who are going to vote are young people. They don't know anything about the future. So then, if they decide and they force their representative, okay, we should have clubs open round the year, and the alcohol should be free, and
Imagine.
and no, you don't have to take degrees.
Yeah.
Suppose if they do that, then or drugs, they say, oh, legalize cocaine and everything, then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because they don't know what the future
Yeah.
holds. They'll be impatient. Second thing, then he said that then there's so many alcoholics. They will also vote who do not know between right and wrong, good and bad, no rationality. Then he said so many pickpockets, thieves, all of them will have voting rights, prostitutes, everybody, and they will start voting. Who may not have the best moralistic and ethical choices to make. So he gave an example of a ship. He said, suppose a ship is going and you know that there might be storm on the way. Who will you vote as a captain? Okay, who should decide the captain? Should it be given to everybody so they decide by their caste, religion, language, and all that? Or it should be decided by the experts and they check the skills of the person, temperament of the person, courage of the person, past experience of the person. They understand, okay, he may be very experienced, okay, but he may not be good with storms. Maybe he has never faced a storm. So is it okay to take somebody who's less experienced but can knows exactly how to sail through a storm? So he gave that example. Then he also gave an example of a sweet shop. Okay, so he said there is a chemist and there is a sweet halwai,
Yeah.
a sweet shop. So if you have to choose between these two, then he said that sweet shop guy will start saying, if you vote for this guy, this is going to give you bitter medicines and you have to swallow them. He'll give you injection, he'll put through your pain, and you will never get happiness in your life and you'll be miserable. You'll always feel like you're a patient. But if you come to me, the moment you put my sweets in your mouth, you will feel blessed, you will feel happy, and after every lunch and dinner you would want to have them. And what is life if it's not happiness? And so people will vote for the sweet shop and they'll get diabetes, and all of them ultimately are going to become obese and die. Okay, but if they choose the medical guy, the chemist guy, then you'll be at least you won't fall sick. He'll take care of you, and it's better to have a doctor on your side rather than a dessert maker. So he gave those examples. So he said that, and if you give voting rights to everybody, then eventually democracy will become mobocracy. So all the mob will take over, and whatever mob will dictate, people will do that. Okay, if mob says, okay, women should be covered top to bottom, you have no option, then it will happen. If the mob says no, convert everything into a nude beach, then that will happen. So mob can take you in any direction. Okay, and so it's like a ship. If you put lots of people right in the front in a storm, then it's going to sink. It's going to go down because the mob wants to go in the front. Mob thinks if you run in the front, you will be saved.
Yeah.
And if the mob decides, oh, no, 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 go at the back because the first lot went down, so run to the back of the ship, then you'll be saved. All of them go, everybody goes to the back. Again, the ship will, the law of physics remains the same. Whichever side you go, it will take you down. So you go down in the sea. So that's what he said. So instantly, he was, then they set up a jury. They said it's blasphemy. Okay, no, they said he's influencing the youth. And a lot of youth started appreciating and started supporting it. So they said he's influencing the youth in a wrong way. So he's guilty of that. So they put up a jury. So the jury of 500 people was set up. 500 elites. Elites is not a bad word. Elites means educated and intellectual people with critical thinking, rationality, and very fair, like judges,
Yeah.
So 500 juries was set up, and guess what was the voting?
I feel like the majority of the jury probably went along with the rational choice, which is that you need to have your point earlier, pendulum, right? So if the pendulum is moving like this, what do we learn from that visual concept, right? The pendulum's movement is that everything is happens in degrees and everything happens in parts and portions, and that makes a grander narrative, that makes a larger truth. Small truths combine larger truth.
Yeah.
What we learn from this is that there's a logical side, cognitive side to humans, then there's a affective behavior side, emotions, emotional impulses, a objective side, a subjective side. And same with like left wing, center, and right wing. It's like a pendulum only, it's a whole spectrum, and you need to allow everything in order for it to adjust to whatever context there is, right? So what, with the jury concept is that they probably did realize this, that if we need to, if there needs to be a governing body, like a concept, very inception of politics within the human society, they need to understand that freedom and choice making, when it is governed, it is
So
overshadowed.
you think the jury majority was on the rational side, on the
Yeah,
Socrates side?
on the Socratic side, because it makes
No,
the most intuitive sense,
but
I
it
feel so.
but it
But
didn't work like that. Okay, he
okay.
lost by 2 percentages. So 48% people said that no, he's right, and 52% people said no, he's influencing the youth. Is misguiding or brainwashing them, and instantly he was then punished. He was given poison, and he was killed. You know, and so Socrates killing is like crucifixion of the Christ, not much difference. So what I'm saying is, but now the whole world is realizing that what Socrates said was right. It was so right. It's like somebody says, okay, let's build this nation, okay, by manufacturing, by being productive, by working hard, like Korea did. Korea started working, every single citizen, South Korea started working like 12 hours, and they started building every nut and bolt. Within 10 years, they, in automobiles, they are number one. They manufacture almost all successful cars, and then electronics, and now also in entertainment, the Korean pop and all that. So what I'm saying is, if somebody says let's be more productive, hardworking, efficient, and let's be more truthful, honest, and integrated, on the other hand, one leader says, what's the point of all this shit? I'll give you free ration, free petrol, free this thing, free that thing, and don't worry, uh, I'll give you a big name, and you give them a sense of pride, and you say, we are the best country in the world and all that. Why people will work? Why do they want anything? So you are creating a lazy, you're changing the habit of human, which a natural human being habit, to enterprise. You are shifting this habit to laziness. And you see, in India, the biggest problem, I think, is that we, in last since independence, not even one government has ever motivated or inspired the people of this country to build this country on their own. Nobody has empowered. What is empowerment? It's all bullshit they talk about. You don't empower people by educating them. You empower them by telling them that your education is going to give you rewards.
Yeah.
Because there is no reward, what is the point of getting educated? So
Yeah.
that's why most of the country knows that there is no reward. And the reason people are not voting this time, they know what is the payoff. If I vote, what is the payoff? Nothing is going to change. If it's status quo, whoever we trust is not right. See, the question is the road in front of your house become better? That is the litmus test. That is the barometer. Has that become better? Has the filth around your house gone down? Has the traffic become better in your city? Has the pollution become better in your city? Okay, these are the basic things. Hospital you find, even if there are less hospitals, you find them. But what is the point if I begin my day by taking my car or my automobile, or even if I start walking on the footpath, and the first thing you do is you hit a pothole and you go boom, or there are so many speed breakers unnecessarily. What is the point? I mean, you start your day on a wrong note. Then you get a breathing bad air, which is, in India, the pollution is hazardous level. Then there are problems. There is water flowing somewhere, there noise, there are animals on the street, nobody is driving on there,
Yeah.
there's so much of noise everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
There are all kinds of prayers going on, namaz and kirtans and processions going on the streets, unregulated.
Yeah.
Okay, and then aesthetically, when you go on the street, there are bad signages everywhere. You know, I think only God runs this country. And this has not changed. In fact, it's become worse.
Yes.
Okay, when I was born in 70s, 80s, okay, was still better because things were not so crowded. There was not so much of noise. The speed of the life was slow. So it was not aesthetic. We were not aesthetically challenged. Number one, we were much better off, and second thing, there was not so much of visual pollution. Now wherever you go today, there are political posters, ugly graffitis, and we look like a country of chaos and conflict. Okay, we are great people, we are wonderful people, that's why we are surviving, we know how to survive. But which government, you tell me, has changed that? Our schools have become worse. Things are becoming worse. We are collapsing. People are not realizing it. Okay, things are collapsing. You look at all the malls, though we have lots of malls, but go inside. Most of the malls are collapsing. Politics has failed to solve problems all over the world. That's why most of the big cities and countries are in a decay mode. America is in a totally deteriorating. So is England, so is France, so is Germany. They are all falling down. Politics has failed. Democracy has failed. Democracy is creating bigger demons. It's more evil and more evil. Now people have started saying that, okay, choose between two evils, two devils, whichever is your devil.
Because it's like, like this is what I was trying to say earlier. It's like we are a perfect constituency of different parts. This is applicable in what we see in natural sciences, physical sciences, psychology, and also how things work. So that's why there's a left wing, there's a center, there's values, and then that makes a bigger position. So I could be liberal in my ways of thinking. I could be progressive thinking. So that puts me somewhere in the liberal left wing area. But I like traditional values as well. I respect them. I do feel that change needs to be introduced in society gradually, with effective measures in place. That's how you do it. If you want to introduce a bill, change, like do something which is out of the ordinary, you want to make sure that it goes smoothly rather than create more chaos in the chaos, right? So the ordering, the governing aspect needs to be monitored. It needs to be moderate in that way.
But who's going to decide that?
The people, if it's a democracy, it's the people, right? Or that's the illusion certain countries they do give, because you see, like in North Korea is also called Democratic Republic of North Korea, right?
But
DPRK.
what do you think?
Words.
What the young people are feeling in India? Have we slowly changed traditions? Means traditions which are not don't make any sense, which are useless now, not relevant perhaps, or who don't have so much of utility in life. Changing them, or traditions which are handicapped to our society to grow. Have we been able to change them in last 10 to 15 years, or we have become more orthodox or conservative or more narrow in our thinking and approach? What the young people feel?
I think the young people, so you can dissect the generations, right? So there's boomers, there's Gen Z, Zoomers as they call them, millennials in between of them, right? So the Gen Z, or like people born after, I guess, 1995 up till, like I guess
I think after
2010. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
2000,
something like
born
that.
after
Yeah,
2000,
yeah.
that's
Though
Gen Z,
that if you're born during that time, that you're
who's
Gen Z.
24, 25
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. Now they're 24. Yeah, exactly. So I'm 24, so that age. So my
You're
generation,
Gen
right?
Z,
Yeah, I'm Gen Z.
and I'm a boomer.
Yeah. No, but like it's interesting to look at it from that way. So you asked me, why is the youth not turning up for elections and not voting? Why are they not politically inclined? And I said before, first, obviously the excitement element is gone, right? So nobody's genuinely interested, because you need to feel a certain way to carry out a certain thing, and that applies in every aspect of your life and also in politics. So why is youth not coming in? It's not exciting, but then also we know, like we can see through whatever branding marketing strategies that you put out, that you are not doing what you claim to be doing, and you're not about what you are about. You're giving a false perception. You are putting things in black and white terms when reality is that we are a rainbow, right? So what these political parties do when they try to maintain monopolies in these like extremely contested situation, which is a multi-party system, is that they want to have that control. And so to maintain that control, they create a narrative. Now there's two narratives: black, white. The middle is gone, because because social media exaggerates things, it amplifies everything. So you'll see only BJP related, only left related. Nobody's thinking rationally, nobody's able to dissect both and say,
Isn't it impossible to get rid of these algorithms? Because once you get connected to one, then it takes you months. I changed my YouTube algorithm after a few months, It kept going back to the same thing again and again and again and again, because I think it's connected with what you write on Twitter, Instagram, or
yeah,
search on
yeah.
Google, and so it's connected. So you never get the alternate view. And yeah, so carry on. So what do the youth feel? Whether traditions we have become more orthodox, are we moving more towards tradition or away from tradition?
So you tapped on both points, right? So the first thing being, when you put things into black and white terms, it is usually the false narrative, which is usually social media, whatever reality via media entirely. So perceived, media perception. The second thing is how things really are, right? So very two very different things. So whatever these parties do with their branding strategies, marketing strategies, is put into perspective that social media strategy, and you think that that is real, but you intuitively know it's false, and you can see it's false, but you still, you're still persuaded so much that you end up thinking, okay, left wing, I'm leftist, I'm conservative. But you're not. You're an accumulation of different traits. You might like liberalism,
First, in India, nobody knows what is right and left. They just use terms without knowing it.
yeah, that they don't even know what they stand for, which is a very hilarious thing, because if somebody puts on you on a stand, you won't be able to
But
answer
now
for
here
yourself.
I have a question. Why anybody has to know where you stand? It's like asking a river, okay, where do you stand? No, it's flowing, ever
Yeah.
flowing. So why is it so important for me to know or tell anyone where do I stand? Maybe I don't stand anywhere, and I'm just seeing and accepting and observing things the way they are. I mean, like we are talking right now, even I don't know what we are talking, where we
Yeah.
are moving,
Yeah.
because it's like
It's a
a river,
flow
it's
state.
flowing,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
flowing,
yeah.
and you don't have to necessarily stick to something. So it's one day I may feel like going to a club and dancing like this is the end of the world. Okay, and on some days I may not like people talking to me about dancing in a club, or I just don't want to go there. So does it make me like left, right, things like that? What I'm saying is why it's so important. Politics forces you to take a stand.
Yeah.
It says if you don't have a stand, it's like your identity less.
That is very true. And also, like, if you really look at this phenomena, right?
Friend zone. Life can be friend zone.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point. And like, but this is what happens. Like, when you take a pen and paper, when you pull that Descartes scientific method move, which is just sit down with a pen and paper, dispel every preconceived notions that you know about literally everything: physical universe, internal conflicts, how society is, and then observe, be mindful, observe. It's like a meditative state, meditative cognitive state, and start noting down, what do you really see, what do you really think is objective, what do you really think is subjective. And that's how you know what is truth and what is, at a very fundamental level you can do that. And so the thing with youth not turning up for, voting, and so much polarization, is that we young people, we can see, and especially the Gen Z, when there's a false narrative, because we do it ourselves also very much. We grew up in that age, right? Like, I was born in 2000. I made a Facebook account in 2010. 10 years old, I did it because that was a trend that everyone was doing it, everyone in school was doing it. So I grew up with, so our generation grew up with, so we know its ins and outs. So even if you're manipulating, certain agendas on social media, maybe our parents can't see it, right? But we can. We know whatever intent there is, or whatever you're saying is whatever, we can dissect the information. And so that's why when we see that there's one particular cycle repeating same slogans, no, limited progress, limited actual progress, right? They create a perception that you think the country is, succeeding, but there's a lot of unemployment rate right now, right? Like with Modi, what do we see? Like yeah, globally we're doing good. Globally, India is doing very well in geopolitics, even though the neutral stance is some, and like it makes you question the moral compass of the country. So why taking a neutral stance in the Ukraine war or the Israel war, right? That, but apart from the global, positive outlook that our country has gotten over the last 10 years since the regime change, right? I'll call it regime change because INC was in power for a long time, and then now it seems like, 10 years is also a very long time. So even they have been, two consecutive cycles, so that's also a good amount of time. So that's why it's a regime change. It's not like in the US, like every 2 cycles or every 1 cycle there's another party. It seems like there's a good like 10 to 15 periods where it's
Eight
constant.
years, every 8 years.
Yeah.
Because no president can run for more than 2 terms.
Yeah, but
So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So with INC the
Which
problem
is
was,
not a bad thing,
yeah.
See, if you keep changing after 8 or 10 years, it's not a bad thing, because then you experiment with new ideas every time. Otherwise, things get stagnant. Yeah, carry
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
So this is the thing, you were saying what makes why the need for labeling political things, right? Why the need to label yourself as left wing or right wing? And that question, and how it relates to the youth and how it relates to different generations. The answer here is simple. It's that change is a fundamental physical law of this universe. Whatever we are in this moment, we won't be in the next 1 hour, because we adapt, we modify. There's like constant things going on
You
inside
never
of us.
step in the same river twice.
Exactly. And so when that is applicable literally in every sphere of the universe, every sector, personal, objective, whatever, then you understand that you can't be left wing for like 1 10 year, like your whole life. It's just not
But in
possible.
Indian context, what is left wing or right wing?
Now the perceived version, what we think is true, right? Or what we see on the social media is that left wing is this progressive ideas, everyone is equal, so somewhat of the socialist communistic ideas, but in a more democratically accepted ways, right? Like it's okay to do that. Like there's a mixed economy system, so everything is moderated, and this is what I feel like makes our country unique, is that we do allow that. We do allow secularism. We do allow leftist principles. Dude, if you read like the constitution,
If leftist means progressive, and so which party do you think is
the
progressive?
perceived version is that BJP, if they are conservative, right wing, traditionalistic,
Yeah.
then they are more old school in their
And
approach.
Congress?
And Congress, because they want to diversify the, these liberal principles, now that they keep on exercising it or rediscovering it, they want to make sure that everything is inclined, everyone lives in harmony, like those socialist communistic traits. So they are plagued with that. So there's that, and then there's BJP, right? So and imagine, like, as a young person, right? Like whatever you know about politics is either via media or whatever your parents are talking about, whatever you're hearing around you. And so when everything is put by these people in black and white terms, you can't, you're plagued by it. So you can't escape it. It's like a curse almost. And so it becomes harder. And so when it becomes harder, you avoid it. Behavior, natural instinct, you avoid conflict at a natural level. And so you avoid it, and so you doesn't go out to vote. It's like that, you just don't want to go
But it's
because
not
it's
a
not.
very good thing, if people are not going to vote. These are very important elections. These are important elections because technology is changing so fast. So, good leadership will take you into that global arena and make you win there. Or confused or compromised leadership will get so busy with sorting domestic things that you won't be able to become part of this new emerging new world. It's like industrial era, then the digital era, and now we are going into artificial intelligence. And these are just technology, but every technology also brings about a different kind of revolution in other allied industries like media, like entertainment, like publishing. Uh, whole lot of things. And I can guarantee 2 years later we won't be doing podcasts like this. It's going to change so dramatically. In fact, even now you don't need these mics unless it looks cool,
Yeah. Yeah.
another thing. But these podcasts slowly are going to take a different shape.
Yes.
If I remember there was a time then people said 1 hour long podcasts. Oh my God, who's going to sit and listen to them? And everybody said that the maximum retention time is like now a goldfish. Okay, less than that, 7 seconds, 8 seconds.
30-second TikTok reel, that attention
No,
span.
no, but
Yeah.
the research science says
Yeah.
that human retention has gone down. The minimum retention period is of, I think, a goldfish, 8 seconds.
Which is bad.
And human beings have now even beaten goldfish. Now we are 7 seconds. So
Yeah.
in 7 seconds our mind can calculate. No, there's nothing wrong with it. The race is becoming sharper and more faster. If you see somebody, if you go to a village, or not village, or a small town, or uneducated people are not very aware, people who do not are not interacting so much with technology, science, and society. Okay, who are limited in certain area. If you are driving, you stop somewhere on a highway, you see people are standing, and you ask them ki acha, where is that place? They know it, but then first they think, then they look up in the sky, they become sure, then he will give you some direction, isn't it? In India
Yeah.
you see
Yeah. Yeah.
people first think, because their mind is not working at such a fast pace. Maybe they were thinking about something else, so they have to put that thought down, then create space for you. So their mind is not scanning so fast. Scanners are
Yeah.
fast and
Yeah.
slow now.
Yeah.
So similarly now, I think we have started scanning very fast. And that's why it's not that we get bored in 7 seconds, mind you. I mean, now you can process and understand your mind whether this is of any value or interest to me or not. Okay, but it cannot be a regular habit. And now you'll find that people want to go because they're not reading. Nobody's telling them stories at home or in schools and colleges. Nobody's telling them stories. So they don't know, you know, that what is the real thing. And that's why they want to go into descriptive, slow, in the flow kind of thing, where they learn and discover new ideas and new science and new worlds. That's why these longer podcasts are becoming very popular now.
Yeah. Yeah. You also get to see what a person really is, right?
Is it raining?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oops. Looks like a massive storm in Bombay, right? So
Yeah.
it's raining. So I think I hope the people who are seeing it and listening will bear with us because of this. See, we have two options. Either we can stop recording it and we do it after the storm ends and this rain,
Yeah.
or we assume as if like in movies, there is background sound effects like the birds chirping or the thunder or the breeze sound, or if it's raining. Okay, but you understand you are also in that environment. So anybody who's listening to the podcast, I think we should let it flow. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, let it
Instead
flow,
of
let it
stopping
flow.
and recording
Yeah,
later.
yeah, there's no point. There's
There's
no
no
point.
point.
Yeah.
Let's let it flow, because this chain of thoughts,
Yeah,
is
it's
always
a
in a flow.
exactly, it's a flow
And
state. Yeah.
and it's like a movie, so beautiful. Then people can assume that they are right now in Mumbai when
Yeah.
there is like the rain is going on, beautiful rain. Yeah. So you were telling me about left and right wing.
Yeah.
This is the chart I have in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because it puts things into perspective,
Let's
right?
discuss in
Yeah.
India's context.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's say there is BJP and there is Indian National Congress.
Yeah.
So let's see between these two which one is left or right on these
Yeah.
parameters.
All
Okay,
right.
begin.
So the first one is like, okay, left wing is supposed to reduce, like they stand for
No,
reducing
first let's
spending on.
decide, is
Okay.
Indian National Congress left wing or right wing?
The perceived notion is that it is
They claim
left,
it's
right?
like
Yeah.
they're on
Yeah.
the left,
Yeah.
not on the right.
Yeah.
And whenever they write about BJP, they always write the right wing
Yeah.
Hindu party or something like that. So let's assume that BJP is right wing and Congress and others are left wing. And let's see whether they actually are left wing or right wing, not on these parameters. Let's do this experiment, yeah.
First point is, the defense military aspect of any country, right? When it comes to dissecting what is left, center, and right versus. So the first point is military, and it seems that left wingers, they don't. Left wing trait is that we don't want to militarize everything too much,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, reduce that, like keep, because we want to avoid wars at all costs. That is our agenda,
But do you
right?
think that Congress, when they were in power, they reduced military spending? Do you think that if they come in power, they will reduce military spending?
No.
No. Do you
No.
think any party worth its salt in India, if they come to power, they will reduce military
We
spending?
can't, because Pakistan is the biggest
No,
threat,
they
and then
can't, because
China.
the
Yeah,
public pressure would be so much. So you want to
exactly.
look strong, this thing. So
And we
both,
genuinely take pride in our army
yeah.
as
So
well.
both are on the right side then.
So, and then center is always about a perfect balance, perfect homeostatic state. So, like everything in moderation, everything is calculated that way, right?
I personally believe, Sanjana, that most of the people in this world are in the center.
Yes, because that's logical. That's like you have,
Most of the
yeah,
people,
yeah.
but unfortunately they can't create a narrative, and especially in these times, because of the algorithm, the algorithm, what it does is it always takes you on extremes,
Yeah.
this extreme or that extreme. If you say, it's a beautiful day and I would like to relax, okay, nobody would care about what you have posted, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day and I want to relax. And if you say it's a beautiful day but not a moment to relax, right?
Yeah.
Then
See the
suddenly
difference. Yeah.
algorithm will start liking you. And now if you say, I'm just thinking aloud, it's not that I have read this anywhere. So, or if you say it's a beautiful day, and right, and why everybody is relaxing or not building the nation, you have gone one notch higher.
Yeah.
है ना? And you say it's a beautiful day. That's what everybody says. But what's so fucking beautiful about this day?
True.
You go to another notch. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
you say it's a beautiful day, but I don't know why Congress feels it's not a beautiful day. Let's go and kill them, and that will be like viral. So the entire virality is either you are on the either extreme.
Yeah.
In center they ignore it, but ignore and center now what has happened, because they have no control over these stories and narratives. So the center is just, it's like a tennis match. They are just seeing left, right, and they don't know where to stop, which side is right,
Yeah,
isn't it? That
true,
is the
true.
situation. Anyway, what's the next point?
But that's fundamentalism, right? Like there's always a radical fundamentalism, and you're just pendulum.
Yeah,
You're just
we
going
are
through.
in a fundamentalist world.
Yeah, yeah. So the second point is progressional change, right? Like change has to be introduced either rapidly or with caution and with precautions and gradually, right? So that's the distinction point. So left wing is always saying change, 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 and that's why we see so many liberal agendas being put forward so fast, and them not people not being able to adapt, because people need time to like adapt themselves to these progressive ideas. And so if these liberals are going to keep on like pushing, okay, LGBTQ, now there's trans, like there's just always like, but you need people, you need to have people take some time, sit with that idea, see where they land with it, and then gradually you change your behavior, you change your perception. But liberalism has always been progress, 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 progress. It's not a, it's progress is a good thing, but if you introduce it with rapid speed, it's not going to land correctly. You want it to land correctly, you want it to be executed probably, and that's the way to do it. And so center is
Yeah,
obviously a gamble.
but
Yeah.
progressive, you tell me. See, in India, progressive would mean that you basically change the system.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
you said this is a very old system. We need to change it. Okay, we have to liberate people. Progressive would mean that government should come out of most of the stuff. Progressive would mean to encourage, and not encourage, but a state should sponsor critical thinking and creativity, innovation. I mean,
Yeah.
so they should cultivate a scientific temperament. At the same time, they should create an environment where people feel happy, and therefore they want to progress. Their payoffs of being progressive. Now in India, there are no rewards. There's a punishment to be progressive. Okay, if you today on social media, and you go say that women should have all the freedom and they should be able to do whatever they want, trust me, a lot of women will come and say no, freedom should be in limits. And why they promote kanyadan, and people argue that kanyadan is a good thing and it's a very very important thing, purity and all that kind of things. then people
But what
talk.
exactly is Kanyadan, like, and how English term for that?
See, दान means किसी को आप देना, okay, something which is yours and you give it to somebody else unconditionally. Now there is a trap here. Most of the people do it with conditions attached, But this is it's like a corporate company sponsoring a program. They actually are doing a charity, but then they want their name, they want so many seats for their
Yeah.
people, and blah
It's
blah
almost
blah.
like an
So it's a
advertisement. Yeah,
condition.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just advertising.
yeah,
It's conditional. Unconditional is you just give some money to somebody and forget about it. You
yeah.
say, I don't care. It's my charity. It's my philanthropy. So Gaudan karte hain. We give cows. Bhudan karte hain. Bhudan means earth. We give land free of cost. There are different kinds of dans. And this basically the system was for all these pandits and all the teachers. They didn't have any money, so people used to give them. Then the animals who can't feed themselves for them. So for the help of the society. So Kanyadan also became like father says, okay, I am giving this girl to you now, to the groom side, and you take care of her like a daughter. So Kanyadan. But the fundamental assumption there is that a girl is a thing which you can give.
Yeah, it's a materialistic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into debate. Okay, there are
Yeah.
all kinds of arguments. See, these are abstract things. Okay, abstract. Why I'm saying because these can't be quantified.
True.
Okay, so anything which is not quantified, then people will have all kinds of beliefs around that. All kinds of this thing, and nobody's going to listen to anybody. Whatever you have believed, you have believed. If you think girl is an inferior person, then very difficult to change your mindset. You may accept it socially, or in a party you can say, oh yeah, yeah, I respect women a lot, but your respect doesn't mean that you talk like aap or izzat se, or you open the doors. Chivalry is not
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
true.
something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, you can shout at a girl and you can fight with her, quarrel with her, you can do things, but you may at the same time respect her a lot.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so respect is not etiquettes or manners. Respect is that do you feel that she's equal to you, or does this even thought crosses your mind or not? I think the person who is most respectful is somebody where this thought doesn't occur,
True.
where it is like in his DNA that yes, we are equal. And yeah, second thing is, another thing can be that you feel that a woman is a poor woman, and therefore I must protect her, and you want to uplift her and empower her.
That
I
savior complex.
Yeah, I
That,
want
yeah,
that
yeah.
also kind of a crap thing, and which every government also tries to say that same thing. Ladki padhao, ladki bachao. Okay,
Educate the girl and save
bachao
her.
means what? Bachao means protect her from something. Why don't you address the things from which she needs to be protected?
True.
That you are giving free hand and you are saying save the girl, protect. That's a mindset. See, anybody who has done that line, I have a basic fundamental problem with that line. Beti padhao, beti bachao. I totally understand what they are trying to say. So if they have to justify, then maybe they have more logic. But I'm talking more from a psychological point of view. See, it's a very tricky thing. How politics works, how misogyny and how this male dominance is kept alive. Okay, governments and communication plays a very big role in that. Okay, so when you say ladki padhao, ladki bachao, who are you talking to first of all? Parents.
Yeah.
Parents means what? Ladki bachao means from whom? From exploitation, from oppression, from men, and all those things. Why don't you educate boys and men?
Yeah.
I say bachcha padhao, ladki bachao matlab they think if she's not educated she'll become a housewife, or she will get married and she won't have this thing. But what? I mean, is there any statistics? I don't know. Are there more uneducated girls in this country or uneducated boys, number wise?
That's a good. See, uneducated. You need to pay equal amount of focus that you put on your daughter, also on the son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's
in
right.
these terms, nobody is progressive.
Yeah.
Okay, if they do something for LGBT, they do only because of the pressure from some
Yeah.
courts or something else, or public litigations. But on their own, no government has tried to change the system. There have been no reforms in police. There are no reforms in judiciary. Our education is pathetic, gone to dogs. It's so bad. I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, I don't know how we call it education system. So many students commit suicide on the day when results of
Results
10th and
are
12th come out. So, which says sad commentary.
yeah.
So politics never addresses that. In India, no party is able to address those kind of things.
Yeah.
Acha, now, if they call BJP regressive or conservative, whatever, but BJP abolished triple talaq.
See, that's the thing. That's
They
not
they
discussed enough.
abrogated
Yeah.
Article 370. They are more
Yeah.
progressive.
Yeah. Yeah. That, but here's the thing, and it's almost as if it's almost as if the roles are reversed, right? Like it seems when we say that BJP is introducing rapid changes like this, and it evokes emotions. So it has to be done gradually and not fast. But our country, we're a big country, and we need to progress in that speed. So
Yeah,
they're
I don't know if
correctly,
BJP is a progressive country and progressive party, and I don't even think Congress is a progressive party.
No,
That
I
yes,
mean in the sense that the way they are introducing these laws and changes, right? So when INC was there for a long time, right? Progress and those things were coming very gradually, very slow paced. But with BJP, there's been advancements, at least globally speaking. Like the image has really improved. GDP has gone up. So practical things have happened. So what we were discussing right now, right? Like left is rapid progress, but here it seems like a right wing party is doing
yeah, yeah,
left
yeah,
wing
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. They are
Yeah.
moving at a very fast pace. So what's the next one?
So next is whether government should play a
Oh
larger
my
role in
God,
people's
thunder!
life. Yeah.
Bombay is like, yeah.
Yeah. One thing about like Bombay and this weather would be like I yesterday when I was just in the taxi like coming back to my place, I saw like car shaped houses, car sized houses, one on top of the other, one three and on top of two, like what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Dharaviri,
This is
like
Bombay. Yeah.
the right now there's like rains going on. I can only imagine what they're going through, like we and yesterday there was like this humility point within me, like wow, like I should be grateful for the life I have because there are people like that. And Mumbai made me like it really shapes your
Yeah,
focus
Bombay
to it.
surprises me. How
Yeah.
people live. I'm only God runs this city. Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. But the next one is like, okay, government should
Only
play.
God runs this city. Yeah. And it's so dug up everywhere. मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ बम्बई में हर जगह खुदा है. So it's a pun involved.
Yeah,
हर जगह
god
खुदा
and
means
god is everywhere.
God,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's dug
yeah,
up also at the same
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Anyway, so the third point is basically government should play a larger role in people's life, right? So this whole idea of state
Yeah, so
ownership
this is
versus
so this
people.
is a
Yeah.
left wing thing that government should play more role, and the conservatives feel that government should not be in the government is no business to be in
Yeah, yeah.
business.
It should be
So
privatized. Yeah.
government should be out. Now you tell me, BJP, okay, what are they doing? They are more government. They are creating more government everywhere.
Yeah,
Government
yeah.
is getting more control of everything.
Yeah.
So government is controlling a lot.
So
Okay.
again, left wing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now what's the next?
Law and order,
Law
right? This whole
and order
how
are
strict
important to protect
should
right
yeah.
of all citizens fairly and equally. And
Ex-
right wing is emphasis of law and order to protect society, and traditions are very important. Yeah. So now here BJP is more right
Yeah.
wing. In fact, they are using this law of left and right wing more towards controlling habits of people, food habits, or how they should dress up, and defining what is culture, what is religion. Like for example, all Hindus have started calling themselves Sanatani and all that,
Yeah.
which is wrong, technically wrong. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
language wise, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's very wrong expression. Sanatani means eternalist. So
Yeah.
are we eternalists? I mean, why? What is Sanatani? Sanatani means eternalist.
Okay.
We are not eternal, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
What is eternal is dharma, the law, the principle of righteousness. Right? So nobody calls themselves dharmi, they call them Sanatani.
Yeah.
So in fact, you should be dharmi.
When you're saying
You'll
you're
always be on the side of the right, but nobody will use that term because nobody is on the side of the right. So anyway, so talking about this right wing, I think BJP is more right wing, and yeah, I would this
This
sticks with
aligns
them.
well. Yeah.
In fact, more extreme side they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Traditions, I mean, they're using moral policing in lots of cases, which
Yeah.
is not right. i
Mm.
i don't agree with this side of BJP, moral policing and
Mm-hmm.
censoring and controlling media and all those kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
because this is going to harm them in long term.
Yeah.
You cannot especially in such a talkative country,
Mm-hmm.
such an argumentative country, you cannot stop people from free speech.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you cannot control media for so long. If they lose some votes, trust me, 50% more than that will be because people are so angry with Indian media. They are
Mm-hmm.
hating Indian media. They're saying, what kind of people are these? They don't show us news at all.
Yeah.
And they call them the news channels.
Yeah.
Okay, hell with them. Then the question, and their viewership is hardly anything.
Not
Nobody watches.
anymore. Yeah.
Nobody.
Traditional media is dead. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody cares about them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next one?
More freedom for citizens to protest and less power to police during large public gatherings. So yeah, protests are fully allowed within left wing. You should. It's the same French Revolution Renaissance idea that 16 Louis Philippe overthrowing the. If change is needed and things are not going your way, you go out and you protest and you make noise, right? So
Yeah.
that left wing is all about making the whole
On that
Palestine.
way
Yeah,
Congress
yeah,
fits
yeah,
in,
yeah.
because if you see before 2014, so many protests were going all over,
Mhm, mhm.
and the Congress they in their regime, people protested more, and they did marches, they walked, they
Mhm.
in campuses people protested more, and but that also went to an extreme when
Yeah.
they stopped functioning. Like there was Narmada Dam had to be built, and then they
Mhm.
protested for a long time, Meda Patkar and company.
Mhm.
It got stalled for a long time. So a lot of developmental projects also suffer because of that. See,
Mhm.
that's a problem. Everybody goes into extreme.
Yeah.
Okay. On the other hand, these people, the BJP, they are anti-protest, so they don't even let anybody talk.
Mhm.
So I'm not in favor of farmers' protest or Shaheen Bagh or anything.
Mhm.
Shaheen Bagh, though, I think was a political game. But as far as farmers' protests are concerned, I don't see any reason why they should be stopped. Let them just come once
Yeah.
and do whatever they want to do. It's their country as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and as long as they do it within the law. So every time crushing the protest and dissent is
Mhm.
also not very good and healthy for democracy, because it's like every time you get cough or cold or something and you pop in antibiotics, then slowly what will happen is that one day it's going to implode, because it's very important for cough and everything to come out. You can't keep drying it, taking popping
Yeah.
medicines.
Yeah.
So when you do that, when you force yourself to do something, one day it erupts, and
Mhm.
that's a very dangerous day. And in India, I hope it doesn't happen soon, but it's going to happen. People cannot be, you can't ask them not to speak what they want to speak without fearing the law and order agencies.
Mhm.
It's not a very healthy sign.
Yeah, I mean it's like constant like cycle of like repression and displacement,
Yeah.
right? You repress the society, make them repress things, and then you displace those emotions with some other nonsense. But the thing with my youth, Gen Z, people is that like we see right through it.
Yeah, like in
Yeah.
social media. So if somebody tries to discuss taboo subjects like, say, for example, sex, okay,
Mm-hmm.
not in the context of erotica sex, but sex as part of life,
Mm-hmm.
then immediately the extreme, they will come, they start trolling. And
Mm-hmm.
especially if a girl talks about sex, then they
Mm-hmm.
come to lynch her and they say, you are not cultured, and
Mm-hmm.
you are not this and you are not that. And they'll say you are not Muslim or you're not Hindu. All sides. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying only Hindu side.
Mm-hmm.
Every side does that. Then they
Mm-hmm.
start targeting her, and if
Mm-hmm.
she's talking about sex, they say that you are not cultured. I think it's very culture to talk about sex rather than
Mm-hmm.
talking about bullshit.
Yeah, some other nonsense. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, talking about somebody's airport look and fighting about over that is better to discuss sex. And because the society is repressed, Indian society is very, very
Very
repressed.
repressed. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
We are like the subconscious. If you go travel the subconscious collective, from mind to mind to mind to mind to mind, you will find that we are perhaps three-fourth of our mind is repressed,
Mm-hmm.
and that is making us not progress, because only your mind, when it expresses itself fully and as much as it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
then only you make a society better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there must be some reason why, despite all the efforts, our social thinking is not changing at the pace it should be changing.
See, I feel like maybe the reason for that is that, this whole thing that we belong to a country which has a lot of ancient virtues, and we want to keep that alive, that we sometimes give into believing traditional values as absolutes,
Yeah.
right? So the aspect of the whole act of sexual intercourse, sex, or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, the whole thing about that is that you need to take it as a natural human instinctual activity, like dogs, right? They keep on humping each other. It's like because it's a normal thing. And when you make things taboo, when you repress people, crime rate goes up, right? So the reason why India is unsafe.
Rapes and molestation in India. Acha, more than that, I mean, this is we are going off the topic, but let's just
Yeah.
close it. But more than molestation or groping or rapes in India, another problem with women is staring. People
Yeah,
are staring all the
stalking
times.
culture. Yeah,
They,
yeah,
you go wherever 10 boys will be standing at some pawn shop and they'll just keep staring every woman or girl who passes by,
yeah.
and it must be a bit offensive, or maybe it may hurt somebody's sensibilities. And
Hmm.
if somebody is staring at me, if 10, 20 people, it happens with me.
Hmm.
Okay, if I go, I travel a lot, so if I
Yeah,
get down
yeah,
somewhere, the people stare at you a lot, and I'm bit uncomfortable when too many people are looking at me.
yeah.
Anyway, that's besides the point. So anyway, so, and what's the last point? The government should own be in control of key resources and businesses, and the right wing says the economy should be left in the hands of private businesses. What do
Hmm.
you think?
So we are whole and whole center approach. There's a mixed
50
economy.
fifty
Yeah,
percent now we are mixed.
we work. India works like that. But you could take Russia, US, and you can see US is highly privatized, right? And Russia is highly government
But
controlled.
India's
So,
is a welfare
and India
economy.
is somewhere here in the
But we are
center.
more of a welfare economy. We are feeding 80 crore
Yes, that's
people.
how the Modi government gets the voter bank, right? It's like, okay, you introduce global supremacy, like these amazing things that he's doing globally, but in from a global perspective, but internally, there's a lot of unemployment, right? And how do you tackle unemployment? Like, you introduce change, you do something internally, right? And the whole issue is that, like, when you try to introduce these changes, they don't land because there's corruption. So, there's like these different aspects, but at the end of the day, if we are at the center and we are mixed economy, it's beneficial for us, but we need to make sure that it's a perfect 50-50. Like, the welfare should not be more than 50,
Yeah, but
and
we are
like the
more welfare, and
that's how the voter bank is
yeah,
coming,
and I don't
Modi.
think
Yeah.
that if Congress comes, they are going to change it.
Hmm.
So everybody is. Congress first said, even BJP said no freebies. We don't believe in freebies.
Hmm.
Now they are end up giving maximum freebies now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Congress now in their manifesto has announced so many freebies. I mean, 1 लाख रुपए औरतों को देंगे, बच्चों को skill दे देंगे, education दे देंगे. They have done that.
Hmm.
Now Kejriwal came out from the jail yesterday. They have given electricity free, this free, that free, that free. So I'm saying, if it's really bothering you so much, why don't you just give India free to America? Let them run this country. At least people will have basic facilities like road and water. All these problems will be solved, because
Yeah.
then American system is very good with that. They are
Yeah.
excellent. Just give. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's unacceptable. I mean, how can yes, I totally understand that 80 crore people who have no food today,
Mm-hmm.
okay, should be, they have right to food. Okay, but you have to check the system, because there is so much of discrepancy in this society, so much of disparity.
Mm-hmm.
People on the top are so bloody freaking rich.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Recently there was this Adani wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and look at the vulgar display of wealth in a poor country where people, 80 crore people, can't eat. I am not against, it's their money, they can do whatever they want, you
Mm-hmm.
know but even suppose you are wearing a very expensive dress,
Mm-hmm.
but if you are going to a slum, won't you think twice that it's not good to wear
It's
this?
not in good taste.
It's not in
Yeah.
good taste,
Mm-hmm.
because do you eat a big Maharaja sized Mac burger in
Mm-hmm.
front of a beggar who has not eaten in last 3 days? Do you do that? No.
No. Mm-hmm.
So doing that, please don't take it wrong. I'm not against. I have
Yeah.
nothing to do with the monies
Yeah.
but they have set a standard. Now everybody will come. They have to understand that Almost when they do this, 120, 130 crore people in this country think you are making ridiculing them. You are making fun of them. You are teasing them. Teasing, like you take a dog, show him a bone.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you have opened up the gates, and lots of rich people, filthy rich people, are going to do that. And you are going to put an entire society under depression, that, oh boy, look, we can't do that. And they will be filled with anger against these rich people, haves and have nots. Okay. And this has happened because of politics. Politics has allowed this. Politics has allowed the ridiculing and mocking of we the people who are not rich and powerful, who don't have money to empower their political ambitions. This is the problem with the system, I think. And that's why people somewhere at subliminal level understand it. Even you understood what I'm saying
Yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
this. I've just articulated it for you. And you say, what the hell, I have no stakes in this, because even if I go and vote, it's not my empowerment, it's not my
Yeah.
power, because nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
You vote for Mr. A, he joins this party B.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maharashtra, in my constituency, the person who have been against, and who I think everybody should be against, and BJP government filed ED cases against him, ED inquiries going on him, and just few days ago he joined BJP. Oh, sorry, he joined this side of Shiv Sena. I mean, the new Shiv Sena, the not the original one, the Shinde side of Sena. He joined that. Okay. And so, who do I vote?
I see. Yeah. And also this other thing that I've noticed in the news is that like members of like Congress, who were involved in major corruption schemes, right? They would join BJP and all the charges against them would drop.
Yeah, and so you don't know which side is the corrupt guy, which side is not.
Exactly.
So many people join. Some Congress spokesperson, this lady, I think, she has been abusing BJP. Something happened. Next day she came and joined them, and now she's praising these people.
Yeah.
Okay, people are confused.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Somebody's abusing Ram till this date, and very next day joins BJP and says, no, Ram is great, Ram is God, and all that.
Yeah.
Now, this is something so stupid. Now, people are feeling cheated. I think politicians should have some responsibility. Okay, I'm not talking about ethics and morality, but at least should have responsibility. They should be bound on them. They should be, by law, it should be binding on them to at least respect these we the people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
At least respect the constitution, the laws, at least.
What are the problems today's youth are feeling? Tell me all the aspects of their life and where the politics is interfering in their lives.
I guess the politics is absent in youth. It's not even present anymore.
Oh, really?
I feel in this country specifically, unless things are going absolutely turbulent, we don't care anymore. Because
that's a
as
very
I
dangerous
said,
thing.
Yeah, that's a very dangerous thing, and we won't realize it until we need to realize it. It's very experiential and based.
Why is it? Because
yeah.
nobody's even talking to this generation, or they don't know how to communicate to this generation.
They don't know how to communicate. They think that them using
by being cool you can communicate. No.
Yeah, like you need to be whatever you're saying, just do it. Like with politics, it's like they would come out and they would say, oh, blah 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 blah, and they don't do that blah 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 blah. They just say it's like Congress guarantees, Congress promises if they win they do this, but they never do this. And we've seen history. We are able to read through people's bullshit lens, right? We can see right through them. And
okay, so if I'm the prime minister, and if I say, okay, guys, I know that Instagram is a reality, making reels is a reality of life, and we cannot change it. So no, I'm very serious about it, and I think it's a very good thing. Why not? I mean, so 2-3 things we can do. Say, for example, we'll regulate how you can shoot, where you can shoot. It's not a big deal. You just have to go and apply and take a simple permission, and that way you'll be safe. Nobody will be saying don't do it. So it will be like legalized for that. Second thing is, we will give scholarship to say 500 reel makers, okay, who will promote Indian art and culture. Okay, we'll give to 100 people who will promote poetry. Okay, we'll give 200 this thing to people who would promote legalities, legal, what is law, constitution, who promote these things. So all your four lines, casteism, educate. So I'll say, okay, I'll give say 1,000 scholarships, pick up 10 areas and 100 each, and then you have 100 influencers making top class things on that. And then slowly you shift the conversation from rubbish, meaningless, purposeless, fleeting reels to something of some value.
Exactly.
Okay, you are creating products and values. Then if the government says, okay, and out of all these reels, whatever you write, suppose in a year you make 200 reels. Okay, so which would be like approximately 400 minutes. 400 minutes means approximately 300, 400 pages. Okay, we'll edit and publish it like a book. So you have created one more product. We'll put them in the podcast. We'll facilitate. We'll help you with that. These are the channels. Okay. And what if the government creates a supermarket? What I don't know technical terms too much means that super, like our neurons, how our mind is like super fast computer synapses and all that. In seconds it does multi this thing. That kind of a market where instantly you want any kind of knowledge about India, innovation, creativity, movies. I have now regulated. This is leadership. You have given them direction. You have given them payoff. That why you should do it. Today we are doing this podcast. What is the payoff? We don't know. We are just doing it. But suppose there's a payoff. Everything has to be payoff based. So what they follow, there is a model called in management carrot and stick theory. So you throw a carrot, and if the person doesn't gets attracted like a monkey and does the job, follow your instructions, doesn't follow your instruction, give a stick, means hit the person. So it's like punishment and reward thing. I say take out the punishment part, just keep it reward. Okay, what is the punishment? That anybody who doesn't do doesn't get the reward. That is the punishment. You don't get the carrot. No, mama won't give you the carrot. Okay, and the child is not punished.
Yeah.
Okay, that way child learns. But the system we have is carrot and stick. We want to punish the person, but we give no rewards. In India, it's very different. There's no reward for following law. Why should I not jump the red light if I can? I'm in a hurry. I give 20 bucks and I go. Why should I jump it? You have legalized it for me. Instead, you promote the habits, culture, cultivate them, give rewards. If I stay back, okay, if every single time I've stayed back, then you give me 5% off on my road tax for that year.
It's a perfect combination of like welfare as employment,
But
right?
I'm cultivating good habits.
Yeah, but leadership is also there.
Yeah.
But like those leadership qualities, like you're putting it in there. And so like if you're giving reel makers scholarships, and if you're giving them, like a reward, a purpose, they will progress, you will progress, mutually beneficial to both parties. And that's why center and mixed economy and these concepts are good, because it allows for that rainbow to flow, and not exactly, I mean, 50-50, and the chaos in between them. But it should always, like having a balance, right? Like I'm not saying having equals, balance, like just make that pendulum, just like, allow the motion to happen. Because one thing we can't change is the way universe,
Indian politics, the problem is you always take it to far right, and it has to come back. See, whenever you take it here, idea is not to take it to right. Idea is to create momentum for the left. So it has to boom, it has to zoom, it has to go there. And like a what ball? Wrecking ball.
Wrecking ball, I mean, wrecking ball also works like that.
Yeah. So you've created a wrecking ball, and boom, you crush this, you crush that. So there's nowhere where it's just oscillating a little bit, and it's very situational, so poetic, it's very feminine touch to it. So pendulum is slowly oscillating, and it's creating space for improvisation. But then you want to take it to that extreme, and then the time doesn't click if you take to the extremes. That's wrong. Anyway.
So like welfare, and then this aspect of progress, reward based progress, combined having a centrist, I'm not saying completely like allowing that centrist idea, allowing both ideas, both regimes to exist, coexist in peace. That's how you get a perfect even the
In
concept
the
of
center, you were saying.
like India is a perfect, like system wise it's good, it's just the corruption, the manipulation of the system, like these things have taken us on a different path entirely, so we're not what we think that we could be or we are, there's always a variation in that. And like when you look at this chart you realize that you are a amalgamation of the left and right, you are somewhere, you're like,
Yeah, we don't have left and right.
yeah,
We
you're
have only
parts.
one side, which is, you call it right,
Yeah.
It's, tell me something. Okay, you are right. BJP is right wing because they are a lot into religion. In India, religion becomes very
Tradition,
this
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, there are a lot of left side. Okay, they support terrorists in Pakistan. They never say a word against them. So, that is Islamic terrorism. So, they support that. So, but they are called left. But they are not left. They are
Yeah,
extreme right.
yeah.
Then Congress, do you think Congress is free of caste and religion? No, they are fighting the entire election in 2024 based on caste. They are talking about this thing. And then all the leaders are going to temples and they are praying. And do you think they can get rid of religion? No way. Okay, the real person would be, you have a secular government and you have a religious government which believes in religion. So one says, yes, we respect all the religions, but we are not going to temples and mosques or
We won't
this thing.
mandate it.
We are a government. We have nothing to do with religion. To us, it doesn't matter. Okay, we are not participating in Eid. We are not participating in Diwali. We are the government of India. Okay, and we are free of religious bias or caste bias or any kind of bias. If a poor person comes to our door, we'll give equal protection and listen to them with the same respect as we'll do it to a billionaire. But it doesn't work like that. If Mr. Ambani goes and I go, who will be made to wait? Okay, and poor person has no chance. He won't be allowed in 10 kilometers radius of Prime Minister's house. So, and religious bias. Do you think there's any party which doesn't have religious bias? Of
They all
course.
do. We all have affiliations.
So we have
Yeah.
Hindu parties, we have Yadav parties, we have Muslim parties, we have Sikh parties, we have Bengali parties, we have Tamil parties, we have all kinds of parties. So this 2024 election, I feel, is it's a history in the writing, because this is going to determine where is India going. Are we going fundamental religious way or we are going fundamental casteist way? I don't think there's any third option right now.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your understanding?
I mean, if Modi wins, it's next. Like from a youth perspective, it doesn't even matter. That's how ridiculous it has become. This entire thing.
So indifference is more dangerous than disliking.
No, it's the ignorance of the youth. We don't even care who
Yeah, it's
wins.
indifference. Yeah.
We don't care if Modi comes or Rahul Gandhi, because it's not exciting. It doesn't directly affect us. And so we go on about our day. But like the perception for those people who genuinely discuss it is that like if Modi wins, it's like, yeah, globally we might do some good things, we might change, but unemployment is going to increase because it has been. Like if you see the graph, you can see it going up, and it's not plateauing, it's not coming to a constant like rate, it's going up. And so what is the point of like having a government which is doing like these laws that are necessary, that are good, but not doing the ones that are very critical for us, right?
No, but if people decide to choose him, then what do you blame?
And this is the second point being, we don't have good candidates also. We don't. Like Modi is like what, 70 plus years old. um respect him in every way, but hey, like if you are going to be taking a country like India, which is the most populated, very diverse, like chaos is crazy in this country. If you want to take it forward, you want to make sure that you are at least competent enough, right? And I feel like he might be competent in certain areas, but holistically speaking, he's not. Like he barely educated and like those things. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm saying that you need that competency to drive things forward and to get that trust from
Yeah,
people, youth.
but I mean, the majority of the people definitely don't think like what you are thinking.
Yeah.
They don't care
Yeah.
about education. It's a great thing about
Yeah.
Indian democracy that education doesn't matter, your background doesn't matter. What
Yeah,
matters
yeah.
is that you take the. I think in a leader in India, two, three things which I think are most important. One, Can you carry this diversity of India with one story? One story means, so in 2014, I think they brought a story of development and the entire country came together. In 2019, it was more about, I think, patriotism, nationalism, because of Pulwama and all, which everybody agrees on. This year, what do you think is the story? Or there is no story?
See, this is a good point. I don't think I feel that there's no story because I don't even care to know what the story even might be.
Has
This
Ram
is the
Mandir
youth.
and all
Yeah.
helped?
Honestly, speaking from
Yeah, tell
like
me about Ram Mandir. What you think about this? Because a lot of young people told me that they are indifferent to this, and out of 500 young boys and girls on an average, if I have spoken to, except for say 20-30%, most of them were saying that they were not happy with it.
I'll tell you why. So our generation, Generation Z, we value social justice a lot. We value liberalism a lot because that's what's trending, and that is what how naturally the world's political climate is developing, right? So we always operate within those social justice, liberal reform, progress, protest, and like
Climate.
yeah, like those very forward ideas, right? And so when you get something like this to happen, like you were saying earlier something about election. Wait, I'm trying to recall the
Ram
point.
Mandir.
Ram Mandir, right? So when you have something like that, you break it down in those liberal, social justice, progressive things. And how do you break it down? Ram Mandir, right? Even if there was a masjid, and if God is one, right? If there's a universal concept that God is one, he just has different names or different variations, then why would I destroy a place of a god to build another place on top of, that we logically deduce these things,
No,
right?
but then the counter logic is that there is your grandfather's house and somebody captured it, somebody illegally started staying over there, right? Then will you go back and reclaim it or not if you can?
See, that's a really good point. Our generation doesn't look at it like that.
It's a
Most
property
people,
issue. There
yeah,
was a temple
yeah, yeah.
there. They demolished it, made a mosque over it, and then, but then another beauty of democracy, because then the right wing went through the legal process and they won it in the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the younger generation doesn't care about all those
yeah,
things. They think this is right, so this has to be right.
yeah. Like I
My
mean,
way or no way.
yeah, like it goes back to the whole retention aspect, right? Like if we can, if a major population of my generation is just 30-second reel, 30-second TikTok attention span, right? Then how do you communicate such complicated ideas with
Yeah,
nuances to them? And
you are
like
right.
they don't care. They don't care.
I think
Yeah.
in this election, where BJP has failed, is communicating to Gen Z. They thought that content creators are Gen Z, which is not right,
No.
because all these, most of the content creators are not Gen Z. They are like all 30 plus people,
Yeah.
and I mean the people who are actually controlling the business. So say for example in stand-up comedy, Kunal Kamra. Now Kunal, how old is Kunal Kamra? He's not Gen Z. He's
He's
uncle.
yeah.
He's
He's a good friend. So he's
he's good friend of
30.
mine too.
Yeah.
Isn't he uncle?
I mean, we might joke about it, but like, I mean, I respect him in that
Oh,
way,
he's good. He's cool.
Yeah.
I spoke to him just some time back, and he was saying, "Why are you doing this, Vivek जी ये?" मैंने कहा भाई एक बात बता कि तू अपना काम कैसा कर रहा है, अच्छा कर रहा है, नहीं कर रहा है. And he told me he was in Pondicherry, and he's a wonderful guy. He's a good
He's a
guy.
great guy.
He's a great
Massive
guy.
respect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm ideologically, we have been trolling each other. He has
Yeah,
told
yeah.
me a
You
lot.
guys are
I've told.
direct, and it's
We
so
have,
awkward for me sometimes, you know.
but I'm not scared of anyone. I know.
Yeah,
Ask
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
He may have an opinion about me. I may have an opinion about him, but that how does that matter? I respect his craft. He's a stand-up comedian. He's one of the most successful. He makes an impact when he does something. People listen. Maybe people who listen are not aligned with my ideology. Okay, but so what? I respect them.
Yeah.
That's the problem with democracy. If somebody wins by 51% and they're 49% on the other side, we think 49% people have no voice. They should not have any voice. Okay, suppose, say, for example, suppose there is a Muslim party. Okay, and it wins 60% of all Muslim votes.
Okay.
40% don't vote them. So you mean to say the balance 40% are not Muslims? Are they lesser Muslims?
Mm. Yeah.
No, they are equal Muslims. Similarly, if say 35-40% people vote BJP, Hindus, so the balance 60-65% Hindus are not Hindus. Just because they voted for Congress or AAP or any other party.
Yeah.
They are equal Hindus. You mean to say they don't celebrate different festivals, or they don't have God's photos and statues in their house? Do you think they don't say Jai Siya Ram, they don't say Hare Krishna, or they don't go on Mahashivratri, don't keep fast? Which is not true at all. Maybe they may be more Hindu than you.
Yeah.
So it's somebody who has not voted for BJP. I know so many people, they go to all Tirth Yatras and all dhams, and they were very happy about the Ram Mandir and all that. Okay, but it doesn't mean that if they like Ram Mandir, they are compelled to vote for you. People may not vote for variety of reasons. They may not have good candidate.
Yeah.
Okay, they may not agree with certain policies of BJP. Okay, maybe they like the policies of the other party. In Delhi, so many people, okay, they vote up because maybe they agree with that policy, but doesn't make them lesser Hindus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the problem with, like, this is what we were talking about before as well. When you put things into black and white,
That's the
just two things or just three, just you limit things, you censor, you just make them think in boxes, conflict happens. And
That's
so
what
you,
is
you
happening.
need to allow people to be
We
whoever
should
they
be like
want. Yeah.
bubbles,
Yeah.
not boxes. We should become, when two bubbles meet, they make one bigger bubble,
Yeah.
three meet, then become bigger one. They're
Exactly.
soft,
Yeah.
transparent.
Yeah, like, virtuous. Good.
Yeah. So what's your prediction 2024? Who's winning the election before we end?
Modi, but like I also unconsciously kind of want, like, like some other party to also, and just to see what happens. I want to see people's reactions when, like, you
You
open
want
Aaj
change
Tak
for
or
the
something.
change's sake.
No, it's just for the funny, hilarious component of just seeing people's reactions, right? Like when you open Aaj Tak and there's a news that Modi is gone. Now we have Rahul Gandhi. I want to see how people react. I want to genuinely see. It's going to be funny. It's going to be nice. It's going to be, it's going to be something exciting. Again,
That may not happen. I think that won't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, but as a somebody should make a short film. It happens. What happens? Some people are running, jogging in the park. Okay, then they faint. Suddenly they don't know what to do, and a lot of people who were like sleeping losers who thought that nothing is going to happen to my life, suddenly they start jogging and
Suddenly,
running.
all of a sudden, like
Yeah.
there's panic, there's hysteria, and like it's going to be a
Yeah.
hilarious thing. And,
Yeah.
and we need excitement
Yeah.
for people to
So
care.
that's
right,
that's why people are fantasizing. That won't
Yeah,
happen. But I
yeah,
don't think
yeah.
I don't think it will be possible, because definitely Modi is one of the most popular
Yeah.
leaders, and he's extremely popular, and people also feel that yes, he has given them something, if nothing else, hope and dignity and pride.
That global
Yeah,
image
and
also,
hope and dignity and pride are three very important things.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it's just a good hilarious comedy you can make out of it, and yeah. But I mean, I also at the same time can't say anything, because in politics anything is
Anything can
and this
happen,
election
yeah.
is very dicey. Nobody's talking about it. That's the biggest problem. People
Because
are indifferent.
when you get used to the things, you don't expect and you don't care, and that is what plagues the youth when it comes to politics.
Like I said, too much of politics.
When it's just the constant, like, same thing is happening, same repeat, like there's no massive changes, there's no massive impact in the improvement of people's lives,
And
right?
too much of politics and religion, I think,
Yeah.
has put off
Faith
people.
divide, right? Like every part. So this is like, again, black and white. Just you are just one thing. You can't be this other thing. Like if I'm supporting BJP, then I am a Hindu nationalistic, right wing. All those keywords you can attach. And if I'm INC, then I might be
People are not.
Deshdrahi.
No. People are not INC. People are anti-BJP. So they are
Yeah,
pro
yeah.
BJP or
Opposition
anti-BJP.
bloc. Okay, yeah.
So
like the
and
whole,
anybody
yeah.
who's against this government, so the other block thinks that they are their supporters. I don't know. This is going to be a very academically interesting
Yeah.
and so wonderful. I think we have spoken a lot. Or anything
Yeah,
left?
yeah. I mean, I think we've covered most of it. I guess people can just subscribe to this podcast, expect more content, and yeah.
Yeah, and this is like it's a very different kind of a podcast. You must have realized the idea is absolutely not to debate or generally podcasts in India mean interviews.
Yeah,
Okay,
long
so you
form.
tell me
Yeah.
what do you mean by this? But this was just a discussion, and without you must have realized, and the idea is also to prove that when two people can sit, they can just discuss without being for or against things and just explore. And I think we learned a lot through
Yeah.
this, and this kind of discussion is possible. And we, when this kind of discussion is encouraged, is great for politics. It's great for
Society.
society, is rather than fighting with each other over ideologies as if you are going to kill anybody. See, all ideologies are stories, so why fight for stories?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
Yeah,
really good
great.
one. Okay.
So you can subscribe, like whatever is the regular thing has to be said. I don't
Yeah,
know.
subscribe of a video platform, YouTube subscribe, audio follow, like, but tune in. Tune in
Yeah.
is the
So
concept.
this
Yeah.
is going to be available where all
It's going to be
Spotify.
on YouTube. Obviously, the video format is YouTube
Yeah.
supported, and then the audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just also like other,
So everything is in
podcasting. Yeah,
details down.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything is
Everything's
written.
gonna be in the description, so
So
you
it's in
can. Yeah,
description. Please just go there and do that. And if you want to support it financially, please feel free to do that.
yeah.
Have a nice day.